What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your man Chazz Ellis once again. Now, a lot of you guys, young guys especially, ask me, why does protecting and providing not seem to work anymore? Chaz, I try to protect and provide for my woman, but she doesn't seem to appreciate it. I try to protect and provide for multiple women over my lifetime. They don't seem to appreciate it. They don't say thank you a lot of times. They go smash somebody else the first chance they get. A lot of times they become even more disrespectful as the relationship goes on. What's up with that? Well, that's a good question, and I'm going to break it down to you. First, I got to give you a little bit of a history lesson. It ain't going to take too long. Now, let's go back to prehistoric times when this concept of protecting and providing for men became popular. This is what we're working off of right now to this time. Well, there was a time where a woman would have to rely on a man, especially when she was with child. She would have to rely on a man to feed her. She would have to rely on a man to protect her from the advances of unwanted men. She'd have to rely on a man to protect her from animals and other things that could harm you in that environment where you're pretty much bare and you need the protection of others, especially if you're not physically as strong as they are. So protecting and providing came from that. That's why women generally want men to be taller than them. That's why they want men to be stronger physically than them, because these are things that have become, at first it's a programming and then it almost becomes like a hard wiring. And for men, you become hardwired to feel like you got to protect and provide. Now, why doesn't it work as well now? Well, like I told you before, as a man, you would offer your protection and your provisioning because it was very important to a woman. It was very necessary. Well, what they would give you back in return, because it was a necessity for them also, they needed to make a connection with you. They needed to make a mental and physical connection with you, and even a spiritual connection that made it worthwhile for you to endanger yourself rather than just going and getting another woman. Now, obviously, there was a greater scarcity for women back in those days because of the fact that they died in childbirth often and things of that nature. But, still, they needed you to care enough about them to protect them, risk your life for them, rather than just going on ahead and say, you know what, unfortunately, the lion got your ass, gotta go find somebody else. Or, oh, snap, dude is carrying you off. Yeah, well, like, keep it moving. That can happen. They also needed to make sure that you knew your children belonged to you. So they had to at least show some level of purity to make you feel like you're protecting your own offspring. Otherwise, the kid be in a situation and you'd be like, ain't my kid, or baby is not mine. I might well go ahead and just, try again on somebody else, right? So they had to make this personal connection to make you care about them and to make you care about their offspring. So let's fast forward to what we're dealing with now. But the reality is, even though you're protecting and providing, that's what you feel like you're doing, you're living in a world where protection has really been outsourced, right? There's not a genuine threat to anyone, even though there's a lot of women like, oh, I feel so unsafe as a woman every day. And I'm like, come on. If you live in a decent neighborhood in America or any first world country, and even in third world countries in a lot of cases, you are not in a situation where you are constantly endangered. So, or even in danger on a regular basis. So for that reason, most women feel pretty safe and they don't really feel like they need a man to protect them in general. Yeah, in a specific situation maybe, but it's not a day-to-day thing that they constantly have to think about and be mindful of. Like, hey, I can just call the police. Before you couldn't just call the police. You better call somebody who cared about you. A lot of women don't need a man to protect them in that same way. Provisioning is the same way. A lot of places the government has already decided to step in and protect women who made choices in men where they either chose somebody who didn't like them, chose somebody who wasn't capable of providing for them, whatever. The government's already stepped in and handled that in most cases, especially, once again, if you're in a first world country. So a lot of people are not really worried about that. And you also have a situation where women can work and make their own damn money. So they're like, so why do I really need a man to do these things on a regular basis? This affects the way women treat you going forward. So now when you offer protection and provisioning, instead of that being a baseline that says here, you need to keep me protecting and providing for you on a daily basis. So you have to make sure that I like you a whole lot. You have to make sure that I am invested in you at the highest possible rate. Because if I'm not at any given time, when these daily threats that come at us happen to come one of these days, then I can just be like, you know what? Psh, I'm faster by myself. Leave your ass in the dust, right? Since that's not a regular threat anymore, now women do not have to, and they're not hardwired as much to sit here and say, how do I make sure that I keep you liking me at this high level? How do I make this connection? You got to remember, they got child support now. So I don't have to make you like me so much that you will support my offspring. I can break up with you and the government will make you support my offspring. So I don't have to continue to keep you liking me. Now, we can say that that's progress. Maybe it is. And we can say that it's a step backwards. Maybe it is. I'm not here to even talk about that or to even debate that. All I'm here to tell you is what happened. So knowing that that's the case, the problem that ends up happening with a lot of guys is you lead with your provisioning and your protection. This is what you try to, look, girl, I'm going to buy you this, I'm going to do that for you, blah, 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 blah. And most of the time it doesn't, since the protection is kind of really out of the way, it really ends up being tricking. I'm going to call it what it is. You're no longer protecting and you're just giving her things when the government will provide for her or she can provide for herself. So what you're doing now is just really trying to give somebody more or saying, here, instead of doing this, do this. So you're trying to bribe her out of a job and into some agreement with you. This means that you're generally operating from a position of weakness and you're always going to have to keep upping the ante. So now for a woman, it makes more sense for them to say, if I get a guy who is paying for my time, who is paying for my intimacy, who is paying for the opportunity to make a personal connection with me, if I have a guy that's doing that, why not continue to raise the price on that? This is why a lot of you guys complain because you've been married to a girl for 3 to 5 years and now you're telling these whole long stories. Look, my girl doesn't sleep with me anymore. You know, it's down to like once a month. And look, I work 12 hours and I come home and I wash the dishes and I cook and I try to do everything to make her comfortable. You're telling these whole sad sob stories about all the stuff you're doing for the girl, but she's still not letting you smash on a regular basis. And, you know, people are like, well, you're a good man and all this. No, what you are is confused. You're confused about how the fair exchange works and what you need to be exchanging. You're doing more and more and more, and of course she's raising the price higher and higher and higher, and it's becoming hit or miss. She's actually doing what she should be doing with a person like you. Now, if she tried it on me or somebody like myself, obviously it ain't gonna work because I'm gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna lead with tricking in the first place. So you gotta win me over. I'd rather be single and not deal with anyone because, once again, I'm able to understand what the society is. Women stop dying in childbirth at a high rate in first world countries. So there's more women in the world than there are men. Men are still dying in wars. Men still go to jail. All of these things that create scarcity are actually working to your benefit, but you're still operating like it's prehistoric times where you got to jump out there and beg and beat your chest and fight off suitors and all this kind of stuff to get a woman because you are still hardwired in most cases to be a trick. You're hardwired in most cases to crash out because you feel like that's the only woman in the world or there's so few and few opportunities. And for her part, she's smart enough to say, hey, since this person is leading in this way, like he's still trying to fight for the old system, let me use that to my advantage. See, men had the upper hand in the old system and they abused it in some cases because they had the upper hand. They could basically do what women are doing to you now. They could basically say, look, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, and all this because his life, because her life was in his hands. You see what I'm saying? He could say, if you don't clean this house and have it clean from top to bottom get butt naked, twerk for me. They wouldn't really, they was probably twerking back then. You know, they just wasn't calling it that. Get butt naked and all this type of stuff. If you don't do that when I get home, I'm gonna take away my protection and my provisioning. And she have no choice because that'd be the difference between life and death. You get what I'm saying? Most dudes don't want to pick up another woman, especially back in those days, because it's like, why would I pick up somebody who has maybe a child by somebody else or already bonded with somebody else? Why would I do that and risk my own life? You know, and that was the case for a long time. But now, because it's different, you cannot date in that same way and expect to get those same results. So for a lot of guys, you come in, you lead with provisioning from the beginning. You spend, at first you go spend $100, $200 on a date, and you know, you may do that a few times and then you smash. Now, you gotta take her to a steakhouse, you gotta spend $500, you gotta buy her all the drinks, you gotta buy shots for her friends, you gotta do all of that, then you gotta cook when you get home. You gotta cook when you get home for her meal prep for the gym. You gotta wash clothes. You gotta make sure the house is spotless. You gotta do all of that just to smash. Have you noticed that? Well, a lot of y'all complain about it to me and talk to me about it. So you gotta think, as you go along in a relationship, she's up the ante more and more. If you don't want that to happen, you have to start a relationship as it is what it is. Okay, first of all, instead of starting with provisioning, you have to say, look, do you really want to go out with me? Is it valuable enough for you to do so? If not, we're just not compatible. You don't like me enough. So I'm not going to take you and spend $200 on you the first day I meet you. I'm not going to take you somewhere and make you think that I have to pay for your company, because I don't. There's millions of women out here. There's a bunch of chicks giving up the box. If I'm going to do that, then I might as well just go ahead and cash out one of these bras and get it that way. So if I'm going to build a relationship with you, then it's got to be one where you show me that you have the same value for me that I'm supposed to have for you. That means if I take you out somewhere, you take me out for somewhere. A lot of y'all don't do it because y'all got money. See, this is the problem. You made money because you went to school, got a good job, and that doesn't mean that you have any interpersonal skills. That doesn't mean that you know how the world works around you. You just have money to waste and create relationships that are parasitic. Now you're with a wife. You've been with your wife 15 years, and your wife doesn't even buy you anything for your birthday. Your wife ain't thinking about you. If you went broke tomorrow, your wife would dump you. Your wife probably gonna dump you anyway in a lot of cases, because she's just building up and getting money off of you, living in the lap of luxury, being comfortable. Once the kids get to a certain age, a smart person, she's just being smart. Why wouldn't she start her life over again and be able to date somebody she might really want to date with your money? Now she can invest in them with your bread. So I'm telling you this for a lot of you young guys, because a lot of old dudes like me, they're married already, they've been married for 10, 15 years, their ego invested because they've been paying bills for that long, paid for everything. They want you to have to do what they did. I get it. Misery loves company. Nobody wants to get initiated into a club and then watch somebody else get in without initiation. That's why tricks are the biggest haters. They hate on other dudes all the time because they can't stand to see a dude getting something for free that they always got to pay for. Understand that. So if you don't want to be a trick, when you deal with women, you have to start dealing with them like, look, the protecting and providing thing doesn't make sense anymore because that time period is over and the value of protecting and providing is over. You have to provide something else to a relationship that can't be taken away when they leave. So for me, if I'm dealing with a woman, the first thing I'm doing is I'm showing her, look, I know a little something about everything. Not really, but a lot of stuff. I study on things. I make sense out of things. I've done a lot of things. I have a lot of life experience. I want to see what you want to do in your life and how I can help you with that. How can I not just from a financial standpoint throw money at it, but do you want to take in my leadership? Do you want to take in information that I'm giving you? Can I be a support to you? When I say protection, not just physical protection, because yeah, I could do that if I need to, But that's probably not gonna come up that often. But can I help to protect you from things that happen from an emotional standpoint? If you're going through something with people at your job, can I be that person that you talk to? Can I be that person that you connect with? So we have a real bond where it's not just about me giving you money and doing things for you that you could have done for yourself or anybody could do if I was not to be around. That's going to be the difference between you having a real relationship with a woman that doesn't just keep upping the ante and causing you to have to do more and more in order to be able to get the physical intimacy that you're looking for. You want to have a connection with her to where she wants to connect with you more and more and more. She's like, I want this person to like me more because this person is a leader in my life. This person is somebody who gives me information. This person is somebody who is a backbone for me, my guidance. It's not just the physical stuff. It's not just that they're giving me money. This is the person that I actually turn to. If your woman got 3 or 4 friends that she talks to before you, then what real purpose do you have in her life? Be real. Like, if something happens, are you the person that she calls immediately? If not, you got to say, well, damn, we're really not compatible. And I'm not doing something. Because you need to be the first call, not because you make yourself the first call, not because you get mad if you're not, but because you're the person that she knows can really help her. Man, these people, I don't want their advice. I want his advice. I want his information. He knows all the characters. If I'm talking to a woman that I'm in a relationship with, she started telling me about something. She's like, yeah, do you remember something? So, yeah, of course. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you remember that? Yeah. I know your whole story. I'm with you. Let's go. I got all the information on deck. I'm ready. People like, it's got so many dudes, they don't remember this, they don't remember that, they don't listen when they want me to talk. See, that's what you got to understand. It ain't going to be about money nowadays. They don't need money like that no more. That's why they'll pay $1,000 to take a picture with Chris Brown, because he connects with them emotionally. He gives them an experience and a fantasy. You're just paying bills. She could dump you and she could marry you, divorce you, and you'll still have to pay her bills. So how is that going to really make any real connection with a woman? It has to be a spiritual connection. It has to be a mental connection. It has to be a point where she wants you to lead her. Not you told her you're the leader, but she wants that leadership because she has real goals and you're helping her achieve them. Otherwise, all you're going to be doing is tricking your whole life.